Welcome to the Waste of Web Space Podcast, Episode 5.
Yep, thank you very much. The Waste of Web Space Podcast featuring
Jimbo
and Fisher.
And I've always thought we should maybe introduce each other out of politeness. I don't know if that's better for future reference.
I don't know. You always put your name first, don't you?
I do,
Which
yeah.
Is just because I think that's the way it's always been.
Unless it's a bit egotistical.
Maybe.
I like to consider myself as the one with the ego.
But to be fair, what I was about to do was I was about to introduce myself first. I said featuring, and I was about to pause for dramatic effect.
Sort of butted in.
You just jumped in.
Sorry about that.
But the WOWS podcast, I think it's getting a bit confused, isn't it? From followers of World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
podcast.
There's an issue. The World of Warcraft podcast is called the WoW podcast.
Is it?
We're called the WOWS podcast. Waste of Web Space.
So what we're going to do is, because we've discussed World of Warcraft, we're going to tag this as World of Warcraft WoW podcast. So hopefully more people will start listening to it, even though they don't want to and they think it's something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that World of Warcraft is like a life game, isn't it? So it's like having another life on a computer, where you're going around and stealing people's women and land and weapons and things like that. And
we just do that in real life, so we don't have to do that in a second life at all.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose that's a lot like the United Kingdom, anyway.
Well, going around and stealing people's wives and stealing weapons and stuff.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. That's there's certain parts of the United Kingdom that do that anyway.
Yeah.
But we've been watching, you've been watching the big reunion, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the big reunion, and I found it quite interesting, actually, and that's what's inspired me to get together with Fisher and do our 5th episode today.
Yeah. I think we have got back together after an absence of 3 weeks.
And on the big reunion, they do discuss the main part of it is it's a bit trash telly, really. It's a bit reality TV. So they talk about the difficulties that they've had in between, not being together as a band and things like that. So maybe we could discuss our issues.
Maybe, yeah, and then we could do a big arena tour.
Yeah.
Of the podcast.
That'd be great.
And hopefully sell tickets and then just fade away into obscurity again.
So in the 3 weeks then since our last podcast, what's happened to you?
Nothing really. What about you?
Well, I've been married twice.
Yeah.
Divorced once.
Mental
couple
breakdown.
Of kids, mental breakdown.
Yeah.
That was the old me. 3 weeks now. This is a new me.
Yeah.
Have you
reinvented yourself to come back to the
Yeah, and
the podcast?
one of us has come out as gay.
Yeah.
But we're not going to reveal who.
Yeah, we won't say who.
Obviously, it's not me.
It's not me either.
Because I'm married.
As I say.
Discuss that.
Yep. You're married to a man is the problem. So anyway, it's time to move on, and we're struggling a bit for money, in all honesty.
Yeah,
so
it's got financial, especially after 3 weeks, and we're doing this big reunion. It's been the reason we're doing the big reunion, we're jumping on the bandwagon, is to try and get some more funding, things like that. But we might have to go down the route of sponsorship, advertisements.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to put a few adverts in this podcast. We're actually being sponsored by ITV, so this podcast is going to last about 20 minutes, and about 15 of it will be adverts, and 5 minutes will be of us
That's
speaking.
It, and we've not been able to afford a voiceover artist, so we've had to do the adverts ourselves, unfortunately. Some of the adverts may be not suitable for this podcast, but they say they still want to advertise on us. I think, really, they want to advertise because they think we're getting a lot of listeners due to the fact that a lot of World of Warcraft game players are listening to the podcast.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing adverts for, mice for computers and keyboards and hard drives and stuff like that.
That's it.
So, but hopefully it'll raise a few more funds, which, talking of which, I think we should probably move on and discuss the budget.
Oh no, another week until payday. Don't worry, Robin Twats is here. Robin Twats is a well-established money lending service, but we're different from the other payday loan companies. Instead, we ask you for money up front, and we give you a little bit of money in return. For example, pay us £100 and we'll happily lend you 20. Robin Twats. Here for you. Call 011111112 112 112. We'll pay for the phone call, but we'll charge you £1,500 for it. Yeah, so then, the budget, which is quite relevant, really, considering that we're looking for funds. We didn't get a mention in the budget, unfortunately.
No, there were no tax breaks for podcasters, I don't think, were there?
No.
But, well, I suppose we did get a bit of a tax break in respect of there was a £1 reduction on duty for a pint of beer.
Yeah, I didn't blow me away, to be honest with you.
No, well, George Osborne said he hopes it's fully passed on to customers. I think, well, how can it partially be passed on? It's 1 pence. It's our smallest unit.
Unless it meant that he's going to buy us all a drink, if that's what it might have meant.
Or it might be sort of giving us half a thimble of beer.
Possibly.
It's that small.
I mean, I think rather than cut it by 1p, why not add 1p to a pint of beer? Why not make glasses bigger by 1p?
Well,
so we get more than a pint.
Just make the standard measurement of a pint a little bit larger. Take it up from sort of 568 millilitres up to about 573.
Why not?
Yeah,
and the other thing that confused me as well is, what about if you're only drinking half pints? How are they going to do that?
That's a very, very good point. Well, they can't take half a pence off, can they?
No, I've never been charged I've never been charged £1.52 and a half pence for a half a pint of ale.
Yeah, I don't think he's not thought it through. Clearly, has he?
No.
But it's not going to affect the fact.
If he'd done a 2p cut, that would be a lot easier.
Yeah, but I suppose they don't sell quarter pints of beer or thirds, do they?
No.
So he should have done it by a larger number. I think you're absolutely spot on. But it was interesting. I mean, if only we could pour more public funds into buying a new briefcase for George Osborne.
It's a bit tattered, isn't it?
Yeah. Perhaps it's...
It looks like it's being handled by a Greek baggage handler.
Maybe
that's where he'd been before. He'd been over to see if he could sort the problems in Cyprus and Greece out.
Yeah.
They chucked it about a little bit. Probably got lost a couple of times. Finally got it back, and it was in a bit of a state.
Yeah, and the contents were taken out. Particularly if there were money, if it was in Cyprus.
Yeah.
Who'd been bailed out.
What do you think's actually in the briefcase?
I have no idea. Perhaps it's just some notes that he's made on the budget, which just simply says, oh no, not again!
Do you think there's personal belongings in there rather than actually anything? Do you think it's just for effect, the suitcase?
Well, it's George Osborne's personal items, like
a picture of his children.
Yeah, caviar.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, a tweed jacket.
Yeah.
Or Gordon Brown's old possessions, perhaps, some shortbread and some hate mail to Tony Blair.
What did his wife Sharon Osbourne think of all this?
I don't think he's married to Sharon Osbourne. I think Sharon Osbourne's married to Ozzy Osbourne. They'd make a great couple. Like, can you imagine a reality show with Sharon Osbourne and...
So George Osborne's not the one who bites the head off bats and pigeons?
Not surprised. I don't think he is, but he is that cruel.
It would be a solution to the pigeon problem, though, which again wasn't addressed in the budget.
No, I think he was predominantly in financial aspects and stuff too. His main concern was sort of going to corporation tax and cutting that down to 20% for companies.
Perhaps he could bite heads off badgers instead.
Well, instead of culling them, he has to go and eat partly eat a badger.
Yeah.
Well, he could do, I suppose.
It probably won't cost very much.
Well, no, I mean...
If there's people who are hungry...
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a tough one, but it'd be very much a black and white decision.
Yeah.
But he cut corporation tax down to 20%, or if you're Starbucks, it's down to 0%, which is good for them. One other thing, a reduction in capital gains tax, but I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to buy another capital city, are we?
I don't think so.
So I don't see why we really need to do that.
The other big one, of course, is bedroom tax. Now, I mean, I don't live in a council property, but if this was, they couldn't get me. Because this is clearly a studio.
Yeah.
It has a bed in it, but it doesn't mean it's a bedroom.
You think... How often do people sleep in this room?
Not very often.
Has anyone ever slept in this room?
No.
No? Well, I think you'll find we've recorded 4 podcasts in this room. This is the 5th one, each one about 20 minutes, so that's around, come the end of this, an hour and 40 minutes of studio time compared to no minutes of sleeping time, so you will be fine.
Surely there's ways around this. I mean... this bedroom tax is aimed at people who are perhaps living in council properties that are too big for them, so they've got extra bedrooms.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is going to affect perhaps mechanics and self-employed people who actually hide their extra money under the mattress in the spare bedroom. Surely. Does that mean that they'll be taxed of everything under the mattress?
Imagine that. Imagine what sort of what had happened to Lester Piggott in his younger years, where he got done for tax evasion, hid everything under the mattress.
I mean, if you think about the things that you store in a spare bedroom, you'd quickly move them out if you thought you was going to be taxed of everything in the spare. I don't know if that's how it works.
I'm not too sure. I mean, do you think they'll just convert the bedrooms? Do
you think people from the government will be coming to people's houses who've got too big houses and sort of carting out like a treadmill and gym equipment and things like that?
Taking out the exercise bike.
Because that's the other way around it, isn't it? It's going to cause a problem because these people who are living in houses too big for them are then going to start saying it's not a bedroom, it's a sauna.
Yeah, it could do. These people, instead of living in a 4-bedroom house, might live in a house with 1 bedroom, 1 sauna, 1 study, and 1 pool table room.
Yeah.
So who knows? That's something to think about seriously. But that's the main thing on the budget. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched it for ages, and I thought, what are they talking about? I thought they were going to be talking about George Osborne's budgie. Hello, I'm George Osborne. Is your life marred and inconvenienced by a group of uncultured animals? Well, try being in a coalition with the Liberal Democrats. I'm talking about badgers. I will personally come round to your house, and if you've got a problem with badgers, I will eat the head off of your badger. The Conservatives, we're working for you, and we're all in this together. That's at Osborne's Badger Culling Services. Please call on 0794 2174 and ask for George. So, it is Easter.
Of course it is. It's Easter.
We're recording this on the day after Good Friday and the day before Easter Sunday, but I don't know what it's called. It's called Saturday.
Yeah.
Is there any form of notable Saturday in Easter?
You could probably just say Easter Saturday, I suppose. I don't think anything happened on that day. That was like the boring day, I think, weren't it, in the Bible, I suppose. That's probably when Jesus had been nailed to the cross. Oh, what, was he nailed to the cross on Friday? He died on the Friday?
It did, yeah.
And then on the Saturday, everybody just watched the football scores come in. And then on the Sunday, of course, is when he came back from the dead.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to put this bit of the podcast in.
We were having a bit of a discussion, weren't we, about this, and we decided to drop this Easter feature from the podcast. But last minute, we've decided to resurrect it, haven't we?
Yeah, and put it back in. We hope we don't offend anyone. I mean, we don't want to make any Christians cross at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're fairly happy though that this feature's going to be a nailed-on success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was interesting, sort of actually crucifying Jesus, because if only they got something like no more nails back in those days, and they could have stuck him there with a strong adhesive.
Yeah.
Who knows? But also, apparently, when he was crucified, it was going to be Dracula who was going to be the person who actually crucified him. But then when he came to the cross, that, oh God, no, I can't go near that. Then someone else had to come and do it. And it was very interesting, because also he had the chance to say goodbye, which was lucky to him. He had a nice meal and night out with all the disciples and all the apostles.
Yeah.
And they drank a lot, didn't they? They had a lot of communion wine, and then they moved on to having plenty of beer. And at
a couple
the end,
of Jaeger bombs to top it off.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of it, Jesus was the final person there drinking. He was the Last Supper.
Ah, right, yeah, of course. Well, anyway, we've got a bit of an Easter game now, haven't we?
We have, yeah. It's going to be called Cracking Up.
Right, okay, and what does this involve?
It's involving Charlie Sheen's mental breakdown. No, it isn't. It's
right.
I've got an egg, and inside that egg is a news story, and you're going to have to try and guess what the news story is, and then I'll break the egg, and then we'll reveal it.
So, is there somebody inside the egg to do with the news story in particular, or?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So do you want me to ask you questions, and then I'll try and guess from your answers what's going on?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So the first egg then.
Well, the first egg.
Is it a man or a woman?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, it's a bit of a difficult one. I think she's a woman, but then at the same time, she might be a man.
Right, okay. A singer at all?
No, not as far as I'm aware. A grunter, maybe.
A grunter?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So it's not a pig or anything like that then?
No, I won't go that far.
Right, a grunter. Not a singer, but does grunt. Does she make quite horrible noises then?
Definitely.
Is it Kerry Katona?
No.
Right.
No. But she definitely makes very horrible noises.
Right, and you're not sure if it's a man or a woman?
As I say, she's...
Is it a sports person?
It is, yeah.
If you're talking grunting, is it a tennis player?
It's a tennis player.
Is it Venus or Serena Williams?
It's... Serena Williams.
Right, okay.
And the news story that she cycled to the Miami Masters tennis tournament after she was stuck in traffic. She cycled there to go and play a game. Apparently, she was stuck in traffic because a lot of people were going to watch the Serena Williams game, and then she realised she wasn't there, and had to try and weave her way through it on a bike.
Right.
But also, I mean, it's not the only news story involving the Williams sisters. Her sister unfortunately got her penis trapped in the zip of her trousers recently, if you saw that. Yeah, I mean, it's another Venus flytrap incident.
Yeah. Anyway, the next egg, you've got another egg there. Can I ask you some more questions then?
Yeah, we can do.
Okay, is this sporting?
No, not as far as I'm aware.
Right, okay. Is it anything to do with Easter?
Yes, to some degree. He will be doing something around Easter.
Okay, is it someone religious?
I think so. If not, they've really messed up.
Right. Father Ted?
No, albeit people possibly like Father Ted more and got more admiration for him.
Okay.
But he's probably slightly higher up within the church than Father Ted.
Is it how high up?
Probably just one step below Jesus.
Right, okay, so is he kind of like Manchester City?
Yeah, he's effectively in second place.
Right, okay. Is it the Pope?
It is the Pope, it is. Oh, the new Pope, specifically. It's hard to believe, but they have, once again, gone for an old man as Pope.
I know, I can't understand, because didn't the other one retire because he was old?
He was old, yeah. And I'm just glad they've learnt from past mistakes, though.
Well, I mean, they met up, didn't they, on a Saturday, the two popes. I think it was last Saturday. It was the first time in over 600 years that anything like this has happened, where two popes have met each other.
Yeah. And
nobody knows what they were discussing because they've not done a statement about it or anything like that official to say what they were discussing. I reckon, though, with it being a Saturday, they were watching Soccer Saturday.
Possibly. Do you think they were playing the drinking game?
I think they possibly were, yeah.
Both absolutely hammered. But no, I don't think they would have been. I think they perhaps just talked about lad stuff, girls, beer, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, all the things they generally can't do.
Yeah.
And I think once again they was discussing whether or not to install antivirus software on their computers, because of course they don't believe in protection.
Indeed. I'm sure you used exactly the same joke on the last podcast.
I did, but it's reusable.
It was that good that we'll put it out there again. It's like effectively electing a new pope almost, isn't it? That how do they elect a pope? How does someone sort of actually say, I'd fancy being the pope? Can you just elect me? Do you have some kind of manifesto or stuff, or is it just other people have to go around and choose who they want as the pope?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Can you turn it down? Can you? Well, I suppose you can resign halfway through.
I saw the other day that the pope had washed a prisoner's feet.
Really?
A young prisoner's feet. I don't know what it was part of. I don't know if it was part of the Good Friday thing. Yeah. Because did that happen on Good Friday?
I've no idea.
Washing of someone's feet.
There's far worse things happen in prison showers than washing feet. I can tell you that, as far as I'm aware.
Has Auntie Betty passed away? Has your uncle been shot today? Well, we're open every day. We can take your dead ones away. So when they finally die, we're gonna take them to the spirits in the sky. And in peace they'll rest, 'cause drop dead funeral services are the best. Book your loved one's funeral now. Call us on 666-666. So then, the next Easter egg.
Yeah, there's been a bit of an issue with this one.
What's the issue?
The person who I got to be in the egg has now pulled out.
Why?
Well, he said he was keen to be in the egg and happy to get back involved with being in the egg, but now all of a sudden he said just dropped out last minute.
Oh, right, okay. Who's that then?
Well, do you want to just try and guess anyway?
So someone who complained about not being part of a podcast feature.
Yeah.
So we invited him to be part of the podcast feature, and then he decided he didn't want to be a part of the podcast feature after all.
Yeah. Well, I've just heard reports coming in that he's now commentating on the podcast from Dubai.
Oh, it's Rio Ferdinand, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is he complaining again?
How did he guess? He's on Twitter and he's complaining about you.
Right, okay, maybe Rio Ferdinand could be our 14th Twitter follower.
Possibly. I mean, I think if he became our 14th Twitter follower, I'd probably just block him straight away. Yeah.
I mean, being the 14th Twitter follower, he'd technically be the third substitute on the bench of our Twitter followers.
Yeah, and I can't imagine Rio Ferdinand would want to be on the bench, which I think is the whole issue about this
I
thing.
think it is.
If he's not in the matchday squad, then by the sounds of it, he doesn't want to play for. He's committed to playing for England, but doesn't want to play for him.
But apparently John Terry is following us.
Is he?
He's up there in our 11 followers apparently.
Oh, fantastic! That's probably why Rio Ferdinand won't follow us then.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
We've not been particularly nice to John Terry though either, have we? So why he's following us, I'm not too sure.
Oh, perhaps we're just playing hard to get for Terry.
Oh, hold on a minute. I think that's wrong. I think it's John and Terry who are following us. It's not John Terry. We've got two different followers.
Oh, right. Does that mean we've now got 14 followers? They have one account.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. But Rio Ferdinand was also in the news complaining at racism from the English fans because apparently some people said that some fans were alleged to be chanting that they wanted to throw Rio and Anton Ferdinand onto a bonfire.
Well, look, if they're going to let John Terry into the ground,
well, he's not playing anymore, so he's not got the alibi of being on the pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah, but has Rio Ferdinand actually stopped and thought that people might just dislike Rio Ferdinand?
Yeah,
irrespective of the colour of his skin.
I think that might be why it is just a general dislike to Rio Ferdinand in general, isn't it? Really, so
you'd like to think so.
So moving on then, we do have another Easter egg though to crack.
Well, I've got two.
You've got two, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to have to line them up correctly to get them the right way round.
Okay, right.
But in one egg,
yeah.
Do you want to try and guess egg by egg or both of them?
I'll try and guess both of them. I think.
Okay.
So there's two eggs. Do these people know each other?
Yes, they do.
Right. Okay. Are they famous?
They are. Yeah.
Okay. Are they sports stars?
No.
So it's not John and Terry.
It's not. It's not John and Terry.
Oh, it's not Rio and Anton.
Or Rio and Anton.
And it's not Rio Ferdinand and John Terry.
Definitely not. They wouldn't go near.
They wouldn't be seen dead in Easter eggs together. Right. Okay. I'm finding it quite difficult to rumble you, to be honest.
Ooh. Well, is that an indication that you know? Oh, hang on. Sorry, I just need to rearrange eggs, put them in the right order. Is that an indication you may know who it is by rumbling?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of two people who run a Chinese restaurant and are well known at the weekend for their takeaways?
I am actually, yeah.
You are.
Let's crack it open.
And it is. We've got Ant in one egg and Deck in the other.
Oh no, I didn't think it were them at all.
Yeah, more commonly known as Deck and Ant.
Yeah, again, that's not what I thought it were.
Oh right, who did you think it was?
PJ and Duncan.
Oh right, no, that's someone completely different.
Right, okay.
But I believe they're PJ and Duncan are back in the charts, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They because what happened basically is they performed this Get Ready to Rumble song on their takeaway show. All of the kids who generally like One Direction and things like that thought, wow, we've never heard this before, this is brand new. They've all gone out and bought it, even though we all had to suffer it years ago.
Yeah. I mean, what's your opinion on these sort of light entertainment comedy double acts? Do you like them or not?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I think often they'd be better off on their own.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you fed up with using the NHS and want to go private? Well, why not use our private medical centre? Here's one of our happy customers. Well, I wasn't happy using the NHS. I was frustrated by the long waiting lists. I even had a baby and had to wait 9 months. Come down to our personal private medical centre. We've got shorter waiting lists.
So that is all we've got time for today. Hope you've enjoyed our advertised podcast today, featuring all our sponsors and everything like that.
Yeah, what a fine lot of sponsors they are. And don't forget to buy the products that you've heard.
If you'd like to put an advert on our podcast, please do get in touch with us.
Yep.
Likewise, please do follow us on Twitter. We've got a whole 13 followers at the moment, and we'd like to get to 14 on Twitter. That's at Waste of Web Space on Twitter. I do have a shout out though for a lad called Jack, who does, well, he did listen to it. A prime example of a superb listener, because he listened to 3 podcasts and then didn't listen to the 4th. So I'd like to give him a shout out just to show how dedicated he is as a listener. He is also a World of Warcraft game player. So what I'm thinking is that it took him 3 episodes to work out that we weren't actually talking about World of Warcraft.
And then refused to listen to the 4th one from there on. Do you think he still follows on Twitter, or is he a follower?
I don't think so, no.
So now we've got 13 followers, which obviously are me, you, John, Terry.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who the other 9 are.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, to be honest. But we do have more followers because we have people following the blog, which is wasteofwebspace.co.uk, which is where you blog every day.
Yep, every single day.
There's other bits and pieces on there you can look at as well, and you can follow the blog, keep up to date with us.
Well, it's more than bits and pieces. It's a raft of high quality material.
Apart from on the nights when you've been out and you literally write one paragraph to say, "I'm sorry, I haven't blogged today. I was being out," and that's your way of getting round. That's your way of blogging every single day of the year, just to put something tiny on.
Yeah, I suppose technically speaking, I could write 365 times that I've never blogged and then blog for the entire year.
Exactly.
So it doesn't really count. But I do have a life as well, So I'm allowed to go
Arguable.
out. Well, yeah, I am allowed to go out and whatever, not necessarily fully dedicate my time to writing a blog and whatnot. But I say that's pretty much it for this week's
WOWS podcast.
WOWS podcast, or WOW podcast if you're listening to, if you think it's going to be the World of Warcraft podcast. Congratulations to everyone mentioned. Congratulations to the new Pope.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could bring, before we do the congratulations to the new Pope, maybe we could bring some cheats in next time for the World of Warcraft listeners that we do have.
Yeah. If you're on the computer and you play on World of Warcraft, if you press Control and C, that might copy something. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, by cheat I meant just bring Lance Armstrong in.
Yeah,
as a guest.
Is there a cycling part of World of Warcraft? Do we know? I don't know.
Not sure.
But yes, let's say well done to everyone we mentioned here. New Pope's. Is he the first or second Argentinian? Because I'd heard he was the first Argentinian to be made Pope, but I heard that Diego Maradona was also made Pope once. Fortunately, it was very much assisted by the hand of God.